listening to the WrestleHavoc Podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. We talk all that goes on in the realm of WWE and AEW every week. And now, here's your host, the one that will give you a reality check on pro wrestling, Flamin' Ricky Duraeus. This is the WrestleHavoc Podcast.
What's up, everybody? It is Flamin' Rick right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast, here to review Night of Champions 2023, coming to us, of course, from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. We got a lot of shit to talk about right here on the Night of Champions review. Of course, the big story coming out of this show is Jimmy Uso snapping and turning on Roman Reigns, not only super kicking him once, but super kicking him twice. And it looks like things are going to get very, very, very interesting as we head towards SmackDown this coming Friday, in which we got the 1,000-day celebration of the reign of your tribal chief, Roman Reigns. But it wasn't a very good night for the Bloodline as things escalated, and Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns did not walk out of Saudi Arabia with the tag team championships. We have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn retain the titles as expected, but you knew for a fact that there was going to be somewhat of a blow-up and some sort of controversy regarding the Usos and regarding especially Jimmy Uso, since he has been in the doghouse. You know, we all suspected that the Bloodline was going to turn on Jay, and really Roman Reigns' focus was primarily on Jay, since he is the whole catalyst of this whole story, and to an extent he still is the catalyst of this whole story. But a guy like Jimmy Uso, because if you really think about it, Jimmy Uso, throughout the majority of this whole storyline, of course, when he first came back from his injury back in 2021, he came back and told Roman he's nobody's bitch, but eventually he fell in line, and when Sami Zayn came along, basically, Jimmy was kind of the chill guy, but in this case, the roles are reversed, and now Jimmy is no longer the chill guy. He's now the guy that snaps at Roman Reigns and basically did what Jay should have done a long time ago, and it basically proves that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens was right about Roman Reigns all along, and Jey Uso is still brainwashed out of all the things that Roman Reigns has told him. Jey Uso is still kissing his ass, and he is very afraid of Roman Reigns, especially coming out of this fantastic ending. You know, I don't want to say I don't want to say if I want to put this on par with the ending at the Royal Rumble, but it's definitely up there, man. The ending of Night of Champions on this show today was fantastic. Everything regarding the drama, all the tension with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso, you know, the super kicking of Solo Sikoa by accident, which led to Roman Reigns to literally go in the face of Jimmy and Jay. All that stuff was just pure perfection, man. Just fantastic stuff from top to bottom. The match itself was great. Saudi Arabia was just all over Sami Zayn, man. You know, usually when we come on here and we talk about these Saudi Arabia pay-per-views, you know, we tend to call it a glorified house show, but nowadays it's not really the case, especially with Triple H at the helm. You know, these pay-per-views are now legitimate pay-per-views, and they're no longer glorified house shows like it used to be when Vince McMahon was running things, and especially those first few years when WWE was running shows in Saudi Arabia. Now it's a little bit different. Of course, it is Sami Zayn's first appearance in Saudi Arabia because, of course, he is from Syrian descent and he didn't go to those Saudi Arabia shows, but apparently there was some changing in the law in Saudi Arabia, so now he was able to go there. And the crowd just was all over Sami Zayn. You know, everybody talks about Montreal at the Elimination Chamber this past February with Sami Zayn, and that crowd was hostile towards Roman Reigns, but the crowd in Saudi Arabia, you got to give them props, man. They were absolutely fan-fucking-tastic. Of course, we also had the finals of the World Heavyweight Championship match. Of course, we had Seth Rollins facing off against AJ Styles. This match actually opened the show, which, to be quite honest with you, I wasn't really for. But because of what WWE did in the main event with the tag team title match, I understand why they did that. But at the same time, the fan in me is just like, this kind of makes no sense considering the fact that you're trying to build this title up as everything but a consolation prize, but the fact that that title is opening up the show kind of still makes it a consolation prize, even though Seth Rollins is holding that particular championship. But nonetheless, Seth Rollins is the World Heavyweight Champion. And honestly, of course, that was the most predictable, and honestly, that was the right decision to make at the end of the day. I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts on that. We also have Asuka, yes, Asuka, beating Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair's over 1 year title reign as the Raw Women's Champion is now over. And a lot of people were upset about this decision on Twitter, considering the fact that WWE has been booking Bianca Belair very, very, very strong, and basically had her have the Raw Women's Championship for over a year. And now Asuka, out of nowhere, just beats Bianca Belair. I'm going to be giving you guys the reason why WWE went with the idea of Asuka beating Bianca Belair, because honestly, let's be real here, Bianca Belair's title reign was kind of forgettable in my opinion. And honestly, if the direction where I think that they're going to be doing is the direction that they're going, which I think is Bianca Belair turning heel, I think it's absolutely the absolute most right decision to make. But I will be giving you guys my thoughts on that as well. But everything else, we had Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. That match was it was better than their Backlash match, but again, they're really booking Cody like match strong. But honestly, I mean, that's what you expect when it comes to WWE. They want to like build up their babyfaces match strong. And I don't know, man. Are we going to be seeing Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam? That is a discussion that I'm going to be talking about as well on this review. But overall, man, the show was very, very, very good. But before I get on with all this craziness regarding WWE Night of Champions 2023. Make sure to like and subscribe to the WrestleHavoc Podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, the WrestleHavoc Podcast is also available on audio platforms. It is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. So if you guys want to listen to the WrestleHavoc Podcast in audio format, it is available on all of those platforms. Also, if you guys haven't checked out the SmackDown review, it is up on the channel. We talk about the tension escalating between Jimmy Uso and Roman Reigns. Of course, SmackDown was taped the week before because this week the roster was in Saudi Arabia, but the closing segment with the KO show with Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa was fantastic. Absolutely great stuff. I'll give you guys my thoughts on that as well. So if you guys haven't checked out the SmackDown review, the link will be in the description below, as well as AEW Dynamite. Of course, Tony Khan, this past Wednesday on TBS, announced that the premiere location for AEW's Saturday Collision show will be taking place at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. And I talk about if, most likely, which honestly I think is probably the worst kept secret in all of wrestling, CM Punk is set to return, and I talk about that. And I give you guys all my thoughts on what CM Punk should be doing when he returns to AEW, and I should say, and the fact that he should be apologizing as soon as he steps right in the door. So if you guys haven't checked out the AEW Dynamite review, the link will be in the description below. And also, of course, tomorrow we have AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view. Now, I'm not sure if the Double or Nothing review is going to be up tomorrow night immediately after the show. I'm contemplating on whether I should do that or not, or should be either uploaded Monday morning or Monday afternoon. I'm very contemplating on when I should upload it, but you guys are I guarantee you I'm going to be giving you guys a Double or Nothing review. Double or Nothing is going to be a freaking awesome show. Of course, we have the Four Pillars match in which MJF will be defending his AEW World Championship against Darby Allin, Jungle Boy Jack Perry, and Sammy Guevara. We also got Anarchy in the Arena with the Elite going up against the Blackpool Combat Club. So it's going to be great stuff. And a lot of other matches that are happening at Double or Nothing. So be on the lookout and pay attention right here to the WrestleHavoc Podcast for the Double or Nothing review. All right, let's get on with the Night of Champions review. The show kicks off immediately with the finals of the World Heavyweight Championship Tournament, with Seth Rollins going one-on-one against AJ Styles. Now, I've been very critical on the build for this match, and I still stand by with what I said. I feel like the build for AJ Styles and Seth Rollins was kind of lackluster because of the fact that, yes, you the viewer knows that Seth Rollins is going to win this World Championship, but they made it a little bit too predictable, in my opinion. And not only that, throughout the majority of this whole build, it's been more Seth Rollins than AJ Styles. The only AJ Styles segment that we had was the Grayson Waller effect with AJ Styles, and that really didn't do anything to hype the viewer up for this match. Not only that segment alone, the Grayson Waller segment with AJ Styles, kind of looked like it was going to set up a potential feud with Grayson Waller and AJ Styles, which is something that I do not want to see whatsoever. But nonetheless, the match itself was fantastic. I absolutely enjoyed the match. Yes, do I like the fact that this match opened the show? Absolutely not. You know, it's supposed to be the finals of a tournament to crown a new champion, and the fact that you are opening the show up with that match is absolutely ridiculous. Could have easily been in the middle of the card, but instead they chose to open the show with it. That right there kind of shows that, yes, this is a secondary title, and it doesn't really matter who holds that title. It can literally be Seth Rollins, or it can literally be Gunther for all we care. You know, that title, if you compare it to Roman Reigns and what he has with the Undisputed title, they are instantly going to be a secondary champion regardless. And that is the biggest problem with this whole championship. If only WWE had put the belt on Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, they wouldn't run into this problem. But the thing about it is, with Cody Rhodes, they are building, you know, Cody Rhodes with the whole adversity thing, and, you know, they want to basically do Cody Rhodes' version of Hard Times with Dusty Rhodes. That is exactly what they're trying to do, which, honestly, I understand, but I feel like I have that mentality of, if you have the moment right there, you pull the trigger. But that is enough about my mini rant on Cody Rhodes, but we'll talk about Cody Rhodes later on in the show. The crowd in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, of course, is singing Seth Rollins' theme song, and the match starts. Styles immediately goes for a dropkick and takes Seth Rollins to the outside. At this point, Styles is on the apron, but then Rollins goes back into the ring. Both lock up. AJ goes for a leapfrog, and then Rollins rolls through. Rollins ends up going for a sling blade, but then Styles goes to the outside, but then Rollins ends up going for a running knee on AJ onto the outside. Rollins then takes AJ back into the ring, but then Rollins ends up going for a kick onto the back of the neck. After that, we get a cover by Rollins and a near fall. Rollins then tries to hit a suplex, but then AJ holds on and sends him into the corner. After that, AJ drives his knees on Rollins, but then AJ ends up going for a kick to the back of Rollins. After that, AJ applies a side headlock on Rollins, followed by a chop. AJ then gets caught by Rollins into the other corner and gets driven onto the turnbuckle head first. After that, Rollins turns to the other turnbuckle across and drives him to the second turnbuckle head first. Seth takes AJ to the top, and then he hits a chop on AJ. And then Rollins goes up onto the second rope, and then AJ escapes. Rollins then gets dropped face first onto the turnbuckle. After that, AJ ends up going for a right hand. Both men exchange shots. After that, AJ goes for a suplex in the corner turnbuckles on Rollins. Then we get a chop by Rollins after that. And after that, we get a couple of rights and chops. AJ then blocks his repeated strikes, but then we get a sliding forearm by AJ on Rollins. AJ ends up going for a clothesline into the corner, but then he picks up Rollins, but Rollins manages to escape. And then AJ drives Seth Rollins face first to the mat, and then we get a cover by Styles and a near fall. AJ then sets up the Styles clash, but then Rollins sends him into the corner. We get an elbow by Styles, and then Styles hits the inverted DDT on Rollins. Yes, the inverted DDT. That's so badass. I've always loved when Styles always did that move, man. He doesn't really do the spiral tap anymore, but I don't know, man. AJ Styles, and I've talked about this, last year with AJ Styles, man. One of these days, AJ, you better do the spiral tap. But back to the match. We get a cover engineer fall, but then Rollins is on the second rope. We then get a boot by AJ, but then we get a sunset flip by Rollins. He then goes for the roll-up, and we get a near fall. After that, he picks AJ up, and Seth Rollins ends up hitting the buckle bomb on Styles. Seth goes to the top, and then he hits the frog splash, and then we get a cover by Seth and a near fall. We get a rolling elbow by Rollins, but then AJ picks him up, and then he hits a neck breaker on the knee of Rollins. A neck breaker on the back of the neck of Rollins, landing on AJ's knee. Then we get a cover and a near fall. AJ Styles sets up for the Styles clash, but Rollins escapes. He tries to go for the pedigree, but then AJ escapes. AJ ends up going for the enziguri. After that, he takes Rollins up for a super Styles clash, but what happens is Rollins counters and goes for the head scissors. Imagine AJ Styles doing a Styles clash up from the top. That'd be fucking crazy. I believe he did that before. I gotta look back. Rollins then gets AJ up to the top rope. Rollins ends up going for repeated shots on AJ. AJ then tries to fight back, but then Rollins goes to the top, but then Rollins drops AJ face first to the mat with an inverted suplex. That was awesome. After that, he hits a side slam on AJ. And then we get a cover by Rollins and a near fall. After that, we get a kick by Rollins, but then Rollins ends up going back to the top. After that, he tries to go for a Phoenix Splash, but he misses. AJ ends up going for a boot, and then we get a tornado DDT attempt by AJ Styles, but he ends up landing on the apron. After that, Rollins goes for the headbutt, but then Rollins tries to pick up AJ, but then AJ tries to do the same. And then both men are on the apron, but then AJ drops Rollins onto the back of his head on the apron. After that, Rollins gets taken back into the ring. AJ goes for the phenomenal forearm, but then Rollins lands a kick on AJ. At this point, AJ is on the outside. Then Rollins ends up going for a suicide dive. And when Rollins hit the suicide dive, it looked like he landed wrong, and he landed roughly on one of his knees, which looked brutal. I was afraid that he was going to get injured. You know, it's the common thing with WWE and AEW, man. Every time when a wrestler sells a supposed injury, I get scared, especially in AEW. Like, I remember during the Bryan Danielson and MJF match, the Iron Man match that they had at Revolution, you know, I believe MJF was selling one of his knees during the match. I got so scared because I thought he legitimately got injured. But after that, both make it back into the ring. AJ applies the calf crusher. Rollins rolls through, but then Styles has the calf crusher continuingly applied. Jesus Christ, I'm tongue-tied, bro. Rollins then wrenches the neck of AJ while the calf crusher is applied on him, which was crazy. After that, AJ and Rollins break. We then get a clothesline by Rollins on AJ, but then both men exchange shots. AJ goes for repeated rights and lefts. We then get a kick to the knee of Seth Rollins. After that, we get a kick to the midsection by Rollins, but then AJ goes for a couple of rights and lefts. Then he goes for a couple of headbutts, and then we get an enziguri by Rollins. AJ tries to go for the Pele kick, but he misses. Rollins goes for the super kick, but then Rollins hits a stomp on the hand of AJ Styles. And then he sets up the pedigree. And then AJ counters and tries to go for the Styles clash, but then Rollins escapes. So at this point, it's counter after counter. Then we get the Pele kick by Styles. And this spot was absolutely crazy. So we get the Pele kick by Styles, and then AJ ends up hitting the pedigree on Seth Rollins. Who would have thought? We then get a cover by AJ and a near fall. At this point, AJ goes to the apron, but then we get a right hand by Styles, and then he ends up hitting the phenomenal forearm, but then Rollins counters with a super kick. After that, Rollins is in the corner, but then he tries to hit the stomp, but then Rollins stumbles. Styles rolls through. Rollins catches him and hits the pedigree. After that, Rollins hits the stomp, and then we get a cover, and Seth Rollins wins the brand new World Heavyweight Championship. And now Seth Rollins will be carrying the brand of Monday Night Raw. What are my thoughts on this match? Again, I did not like the fact that this match opened the show, but due to the circumstances with WWE and what they were doing with the whole Bloodline and Jimmy Uso and that fantastic ending that they had, that climactic ending, I should say, it was totally understandable. But again, the fact that you're crowning a brand new champion that's supposed to carry the Raw brand and that title opens the show, I don't know. I kind of have a problem with that. Honestly, it would have been so much better if that match happened before the actual main event, if you didn't want this match to main event. In my opinion, that is just my opinion. But again, you know, the fact that it opened the show, to be quite honest with you, I wasn't really for that. If there was any match to open the show, you could have easily had Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. That is just me. But nonetheless, Seth Rollins is the brand new World Heavyweight Champion. And yes, I still will call this championship the consolation prize or the secondary title because it is the secondary championship. WWE for years always had the tendency of having the world title and the WWE title. The WWE title was always superior than the World Heavyweight title. The only time the World Heavyweight title was much more superior than the WWE title was from 2002 through 2005 when Triple H had his reign of terror. That was the only time where the world title was actually more important than the WWE title. As soon as Cena moved from SmackDown to Raw, forget about it. The WWE title was the main championship in WWE. If you compare a guy like Seth Rollins, who is fantastic and deserves all the credit that he gets and deserves everything that he's getting right now, he absolutely deserves the World Heavyweight Championship. But again, if you compare a guy like Seth Rollins to a guy like Roman Reigns, immediately the person's going to look at it like, hey, Roman Reigns is the number one guy. Or if a guy like Gunther, for example, had the World Heavyweight Championship and you compare him to Roman Reigns. Yeah, Gunther may have a dominant run with the World Heavyweight Championship, but let's be honest with ourselves. Nobody is going to be topping the 1,000-day run of Roman Reigns anytime soon. So if anybody, and it can literally be like somebody that's almost at the level of Roman Reigns, holds this championship and you compare them to a guy like Roman Reigns holding the WWE Championship, immediately that title, the WWE title or the Undisputed Universal title, is going to be looked more than the World Heavyweight Championship. But nonetheless, with Seth Rollins winning the World Heavyweight Championship, what are the potential feuds that Seth Rollins could be entering himself in? There are a lot of different scenarios. Now, we got guys like Finn Balor and Judgment Day. Honestly, I would love a feud between Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. That'd be absolutely great. A lot of people, of course, are talking about Gunther, and he's like the number one candidate at this point, and rightfully so. But I wouldn't immediately put Seth Rollins against Gunther. You wait maybe until the end of the year. You have Seth Rollins go on a freaking dominant run with that world title, and then as soon as he stumbles Gunther just dominates him and wins the World Heavyweight Championship. That is my opinion because, of course, Imperium is now on Raw, and you can definitely solidify Imperium as definitely, an unstoppable faction on the Raw brand. Because right now, Imperium, they're doing good for themselves, but really, if you look at Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci, they're losing a lot of their matches, and that's how they're getting booked right now. But hopefully, down the line, they can focus more on Imperium. Because right now, what they're doing with Gunther and the IC title is pure perfection. Because the Intercontinental Championship is now the main mid-card championship in WWE. It's like so important. Much more important than it was like 2 years ago. But again, when it comes to Gunther, he should be the guy to take the belt away from Seth Rollins. But I'm only getting a little bit ahead of myself. We got to look at right now the potential feuds that Seth Rollins could have. Honestly, I definitely see him feuding with Judgment Day because it makes total sense. Feud with Finn Balor and Seth Rollins would be absolutely great. And not only that, I mean, this title, as WWE would state constantly, is going to be the Workhorse Championship. So, maybe Seth Rollins would be defending his title like on maybe a weekly basis, but most of the time he'd be defending his title constantly, man. This title is definitely solidifying itself as the Workhorse Championship, as WWE is saying. But nonetheless, Seth Rollins winning the World Heavyweight Championship is definitely the right decision to make. I wouldn't be against AJ Styles winning, but not only that, I mean, he's a SmackDown guy, so it really wouldn't make any sense. But Seth Rollins is the new World Heavyweight Champion, and honestly, I couldn't be more happier. This was the right decision to make. All right. In our next match, holy shit, I got to catch my breath. Jesus Christ, I've been talking a lot. We got Trish Stratus taking on Becky Lynch. You guys know my stance on this whole feud. I think this whole feud is absolutely ridiculous. I think this feud is terrible. I think this feud is dumb. And the promos that Trish Stratus has been cutting throughout these past couple of weeks are not good at all. If you watch the contract signing segment that both Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch had on Raw this past Monday, you could clearly see Becky Lynch just walked through Trish Stratus when it came to promos. Trish Stratus is not really the best heel when it comes to promos. She says the lamest things, and this is coming from a guy that is a big fan of Trish Stratus, in my opinion, but let's be real here. This feud is just not doing anything at all. But that said, the match itself was surprisingly great. Now, we all knew what Trish Stratus was capable of in the ring. I mean, we've seen her for years, but this year was a little different. When we had the match at WrestleMania, I believe it was the 6-woman tag team match. It was Becky, Lita, and Trish taking on Damage Control. 100%, man, Trish was definitely the star of the whole match, if you think about it. Trish did a lot of moves that you're not really used to her doing, and she definitely was the MVP of the whole match, in my opinion. This match, this was great. The match was great. Yes, you could say, the build for this match wasn't good, and it's just kind of lame, this whole feud. It really is. But nonetheless, this match did everything it needed to do. And the ending was actually very shocking because we now have Trish Stratus being partnered with Zoe Starks. And one of the better things that WWE is actually doing after the draft, one of the very rare right things that they are doing is airing video packages of all of this talent and introducing the viewer who maybe doesn't know this talent to the viewer watching on television. And Zoe Stark was one of them. And now we have Zoe Stark partnered with Trish Stratus, and that is a great decision in my opinion because it gives some sort of direction for Zoe Stark. So let's get through the match. Overall, this wasn't a bad match whatsoever. I don't like the feud at all, but if the match is good, the match is good, and I'll gladly come on the show and say the match was good. And in this case, the match was good. Becky immediately goes for a right hand. She goes for repeated kicks on Trish into the corner. After that, she drives Trish face first onto the turnbuckle, and then she hits repeated stomps on Trish. Trish goes to the outside, but then Becky tries to go for a baseball slide, but then Trish catches her. After that, Trish goes to the outside. She gets driven onto the steel steps, and then Trish is in control. I mean, Becky gets driven onto the steel steps, and Trish is in control. Becky then gets driven onto the announce table, and once we're back in the ring, Trish ends up hitting a boot onto the midsection. Trish then continues to be in control, but then Becky hits a right hand. Then she goes for the Tornado DDT. We then get a cover by Trish and a near fall. Trish ends up going for a couple of rights and lefts. Trish then continues to be in control over Becky Lynch. We then get a kick by Becky, but then Becky goes for a couple of rights and body shots. After that, Trish gets taken and hits repeated rights, and then she ends up hitting the neck breaker. We then get a cover by Trish and a near fall. Trish ends up going for a chop into the corner, but then Becky blocks her chops. After that, she hits a right hand. Both women exchange shots, but then Becky takes down Trish. Trish ends up going for a right elbow, but then Becky hits the exploder suplex. After that, Becky is in control. Becky then goes to the second rope and hits a leg drop. We then get a cover by Becky and a near fall. At this point, both women are on the outside. Becky then gets taken into the ring. And after that, Trish counters and hits a Hurricane Rana onto the ring post, which was fucking brutal as hell. She then takes Becky back into the ring. Trish ends up going for a spine buster. After that, we get a cover by Trish and another near fall. Trish then goes for repeated rights on Becky, but then we get a clothesline in the corner by Trish. She then takes Becky to the top, but then Trish also goes up to the top. Trish ends up going for the head scissors. We then get a cover by Trish and a near fall. Trish then tries to go for the Stratus faction. After that, Becky counters, but then Becky ends up going for a back elbow. Becky is on the second rope. Then she ends up hitting the Diamond Dust. Becky goes to the top once again. She ends up hitting the leg drop. And then we get a cover by Becky and a near fall once again. Becky then tries to go for the manhandle slam, but then Trish counters. Then Trish, surprisingly, tries to apply the sharpshooter. Becky counters, and then Becky gets taken onto the apron, but then Becky goes to the top. She then gets dropped down, but then Trish goes to the top once again. She then gets caught by Becky, and then Becky applies the Boston Crab. Trish ends up getting her hand on the bottom rope. And after that, Becky runs into a kick by Trish onto the outside. Trish goes back into the ring, but then Becky almost gets counted out, but then Becky goes back into the ring. Then we get a kick by Trish. I believe this was a chick kick, and she knocks down Becky. And when I mean she knocked down Becky, she legit knocked down Becky. After that, we get a cover by Trish and a near fall. Trish then goes into the face of Becky Lynch, but then Becky fights back and applies the disarmer. But then Trish pulls the hair. Yes, she pulls the hair of Becky Lynch. Both women fight it out, pulling each other's hair once again. Then Trish tries to go for the chick kick, but Becky counters. We then get a roll-up by Becky and a near fall. Becky ends up hitting the manhandle slam, so it looks like she's going to have this match won. So we get a cover and a near fall when Trish gets her foot onto the bottom rope. So Trish goes under the ring, right, and nobody knows what she's trying to get. And after that, Zoe Starks comes from under, and she ends up hitting the Z360 on Becky Lynch on the outside, which leads to Trish back in the ring hitting the Stratus faction, and we get a cover by Trish. 1, 2, 3. Trish Stratus gets the win over Becky Lynch, and now it looks like Trish Stratus is partnered with Zoe Stark. Overall thoughts on the match itself. Again, the feud is terrible. I absolutely despise the feud. The feud is just garbage, in my opinion. And this is coming from somebody that likes Becky Lynch, and this is coming from somebody that likes Trish Stratus. But the match itself was great. It told a good story. Trish was fantastic. Just like at WrestleMania, as how I stated she was the MVP. Trish was great in this match once again as well. But not only that, the whole involvement of Zoe Stark, that was unpredictable for me watching the match, which is a good thing. Because, again, one of the biggest problems with this match is, I don't want to say, the predictability of this match was high. But, again, it was kind of, a point of me just not caring a lot to the point where I just immediately was like, yeah, Becky Lynch is going to be winning this match. But no, Becky Lynch actually lost this match. And we have Zoe Stark now being partnered with Trish Stratus, which is a good thing because now it gives a whole new element when it comes to the storyline. Not only that, it gives some sort of direction for Zoe Stark because she has been wrestling on Raw throughout these past 2 weeks. But let's be real here. She's been wrestling only in like less than 5-minute matches, like maybe like 2 or 3 minute matches, which is basically nothing. And there's really just zero direction whatsoever for Zoe Stark. The biggest takeaway from the WWE draft coming out of it is these NXT call-ups, because WWE has been airing all these video packages on these new people, and that is a very, very good thing to do because it introduces the viewer who hasn't known who this wrestler is, who this person is, blah, blah, blah. And now we have Zoe Stark, teaming up with Trish Stratus, and this is definitely the right decision to make. Now, where is this feud going to be going? Honestly, I don't want this feud to continue, but knowing WWE, they're definitely going to be continuing this feud, and most likely they're going to be having a rematch at Money in the Bank in a couple of weeks. But that was Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus gets the win over Becky Lynch. In our next match, we have Mustafa Ali challenging Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, surprisingly, this match wasn't as long as I thought it was going to be, but this match on paper, now, I remember when Mustafa Ali first won the Battle Royal. A lot of people were kind of upset because this is the best they got for Gunther, but if you really think about it, on paper, yes, this match looks dumb. And the same thing about the main event with the tag team title match. It was the same thing. On paper, it looked dumb. But if you really think ahead when it came to this match, people say, this match is predictable. We all know Gunther's going to win anyway. But at the end of the day, not only this is, I believe this is in Mustafa Ali's home country, but not only that, Gunther, coming out of this match, Gunther made Mustafa Ali look like $1 million. This wasn't a situation in which we had a squash match with Mustafa Ali getting squashed by Gunther. No, man, they wrestled for like at least maybe 10 minutes. Maybe less than 10 minutes, but roughly around 10 minutes. That's how long they wrestled. And they definitely gave it their all. This match was definitely everything that it needed to be. And yes, even though Mustafa Ali lost this match, he still looked great after the match because the crowd was all over Mustafa Ali. Not only that, we all wanted WWE to treat Mustafa Ali better, right? So here we go. We have a match with Gunther, so I don't know why we are complaining. But not only that, or nonetheless, I should say, this was a great match nonetheless. I absolutely loved this match for what it was. The match starts. Both lock up. Gunther throws him across the ring. Both lock up once again. Gunther misses a chop. We then get a chop by Ali, but then we get a couple of kicks to the knees of Gunther. So throughout this whole match, Ali did get a lot of offense. Gunther applies a sleeper. We then get a drop kick by Ali, but then we get a second drop kick by Ali on Gunther. Then Gunther catches Ali and slams him down to the mat. And then he hits a stomp on Mustafa Ali. Gunther then goes for a furious, and I mean a furious chop on Mustafa Ali. Ali then tries to fight back with a couple of body shots. We then get a boot by Ali, but then we get a slam by Gunther. Gunther then applies the Boston Crab on Ali, but then Gunther transitions and applies the crossface on Mustafa Ali. Gunther ends up hitting the knee, and then Gunther throws him to the outside, but then Ali holds on. He tries to go for the springboard, but immediately when Ali tries to go for the springboard, Gunther hits a boot on Mustafa Ali after that. Gunther then drives Ali furiously, and when I say furiously, I absolutely mean it, man. He sent this man slamming on the ring post. Holy shit, I got scared for a second, man. Ali sold that shit like $1 million. Gunther then drives Ali furiously onto the ring post. Gunther is back into the ring while Ali is on the outside. We then get a chop by Gunther, but then Gunther ends up hitting a second chop. Of course, Gunther is known for his chops. Ali then fights back. He hits a kick. We then get a rolling neck breaker by Ali. Ali ends up going to the top, but then Gunther comes back with the chop on Mustafa Ali once again. Gunther is up on the second rope. He then applies the double underhook on Ali. Ali ends up trying to fight back against Gunther, but then Ali goes for a sunset flip, but then Gunther manages to hold on. Ali has him up and hits a powerbomb on Gunther. He goes to the top once again. He tries to hit the 450, but misses and rolls through. We get a cover by Ali and a near fall. Actually, no, he hits the 450, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But we get a cover by Ali and a near fall. Ali then tries to hit the tornado DDT, but then Gunther counters and hits a furious layer. Now, you got Michael Cole calling that shit a clothesline. What Gunther did was not a clothesline. That shit was a lariat right there, as William Regal would tell Excalibur on commentary. That shit was a lariat. Then he goes for the second lariat. After that, we get a cover by Gunther and a near fall. Gunther then stomps onto the back of Mustafa Ali. Gunther then screams at Ali that he doesn't belong here. Ali counters the powerbomb attempt, and he hits a thrust kick on Gunther. Ali then hits the tornado DDT off the top. He goes to the top again. He hits the 450 but misses and rolls through. Gunther ends up hitting the running shotgun dropkick, and then he hits the powerbomb, and we get a cover. 1, 2, 3, and Gunther retains the Intercontinental Championship in a great match against Mustafa Ali. This was fantastic for what it was. Nothing to complain about this match. You knew going in that Mustafa Ali was not going to win this match whatsoever. There's no reason that Mustafa Ali should beat Gunther at all. If Gunther's going to drop that Intercontinental Championship, he needs to drop it to somebody very, very, very credible. And right now, I don't think WWE has the guy that is on the level of Gunther right now. But nonetheless, this made Mustafa Ali look like $1 million. And nonetheless, this was a great match. And Gunther is still your IC champion. After that, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are backstage. Sami talks about this journey that he has with Kevin Owens, ever since WrestleMania. It's so much more than they expected. And even if it ended tonight, and yes, he said, even if it ended tonight, Kevin Owens immediately interrupts him. And KO says, Roman Reigns is celebrating 1,000 days. He says that, they took these titles from the Usos, and he is so sick of hearing about Roman Reigns and his 1,000 days. Today is not his day. Today is not his day or their day. It's their day, that being themselves. Today, Solo loses, and today, Roman Reigns loses. So Kevin Owens is igniting a fire in Sami Zayn. We then have Bianca Belair versus Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. This match, nonetheless, the build for the majority of this pay-per-view really wasn't the best. And this was one of the matches that honestly was not built very well. Even the build heading in towards WrestleMania for Bianca Belair and Asuka wasn't great at all. Yes, I will say this, though. Them turning Asuka heel was definitely a great move. But, it was not enough for me to care a lot about this match. Was this match better than their WrestleMania match? To be quite honest with you, no. This match wasn't better than the WrestleMania match. Nothing will top their WrestleMania match. But I will say, the finish of this match was very creative, and Asuka winning the Raw Women's Championship from Bianca Belair after Bianca has held that title for well over a year was the right decision to make. I'll talk about that right after I go through this whole match. So we get a side headlock takeover by Asuka. Asuka then pulls the braid of Bianca, which is a common occurrence throughout the majority of this whole match. We then get a takedown by Bianca, and then she hits repeated rights on Asuka. Bianca ends up going for the shoulder tackle, and then we get a leapfrog by Bianca. Asuka ends up hitting the dropkick. At this point, Asuka is in control, and she stomps on Bianca. We then get a right hand by Bianca, but then she drives Asuka into the corner. Then we get a dropkick by Bianca on Asuka. Bianca then slams Asuka down to the mat. We then get the cartwheel moonsault missed by Bianca, but then Bianca is on the apron. Bianca then goes for a cartwheel kick, taking Asuka to the outside. After that, Asuka pulls the hair of Bianca and drives her onto the steel steps. At this point, Asuka and Bianca go back into the ring. We then get a running hip attack by Asuka, followed by a running knee. After that, we get a cover and a near fall, and then Asuka applies the armbar. We then get a roll-up by Bianca, but then we get a kick to the arm of Bianca by Asuka. Asuka then drives the boot of Bianca on Asuka once again. After that, we get a roll-up by Bianca and a near fall. After that, Bianca picks up Asuka, and then Asuka ends up going for the inside cradle, and we get a near fall. We then get a clothesline by Asuka and a kick out once again. Bianca then picks up Asuka, but then Asuka escapes. Asuka then pulls the hair of Bianca. We then get a right hand by Bianca, but then Bianca ends up hitting the blockbuster on Asuka. At this point, both women are down. We then get a back elbow by Bianca, but then Bianca is on the second rope. She then lands into her feet, but then we get a dropkick by Bianca. Bianca ends up going for a vertical suplex on Asuka. After that, Bianca spears through Asuka. We then get repeated right hands. Asuka manages to slip out, and then she pulls the hair of Bianca once again. Bianca then catches Asuka and then manages to hit a backbreaker. After that, she hits the cartwheel moonsault, and we get a cover and a near fall. Asuka ends up going for a kick, and then she pulls again onto the hair of Asuka. After that, Asuka is on the top, but then Bianca goes up. Asuka fights back, but then she hits a dropkick, and then we get a cover by Asuka and a near fall. Bianca ends up picking up Asuka once again. Asuka escapes, but then she applies the armbar. Bianca escapes, but then she picks up Asuka once again as well. Asuka ends up going for repeated right hands, but then Bianca goes for the spine buster. We then get a cover by Bianca and a near fall, and then we get a cartwheel moonsault countered by Asuka, and then she applies the Asuka lock, and then we get a roll through by Bianca, but then she hits a roll up on Asuka, or I should say Asuka goes for the roll up. My bad. And then we get a cover and a near fall, but then Asuka goes for the backslide once again. So there was a bunch of roll up reversals followed by a backslide by Asuka. After that, she goes for a kick onto the side of the face of Bianca, and then Asuka gets taken to the outside. Asuka then drags Bianca to the outside using her hair. Bianca's hair is literally, the main, thing that Bianca that is used against Bianca. That's the main thing that's used against Bianca, basically, her own hair. Asuka then gets taken to the steel steps, but then both women go back into the ring. Bianca then fights off Asuka, but then Asuka tries to spit the mist on Bianca, but then she misses. Bianca then picks up Asuka, but then Asuka counters. And then she applies the armbar on Bianca, but then Bianca ends up going for the roll-up. We then get a near fall, but then Bianca powers her up, and then she hits the powerbomb on Asuka. At this point, both women are down, but then Asuka spits the mist all over her hand, which is very weird, and let's see what Asuka's going to be doing after this. So Bianca tries to pick up Asuka, and she does, and she tries to hit the KOD. But with all the mist all over the hands of Asuka, what she does is Asuka gouges the eyes of Bianca, covering her eyes with all of the mist. At this point, she hits the high kick, and then she goes for a second high kick, and then we get a cover, and Asuka gets the 1-2-3 and ends the title reign of Bianca Belair. What are my thoughts on this match? It's safe to say, and I don't want to call this a hot take because it really isn't, because a lot of other people in the community are making the same, assumption and the same opinion. And it's definitely, in my opinion, the right opinion. Asuka winning at Night of Champions against Bianca Belair was the right decision to make. I say this because Bianca Belair's title run, let's be honest with ourselves, has, I don't want to say forgettable, but, Bianca's title run, yeah, it's well over a year, and they have been booking Bianca strongly. In my opinion, Bianca's title reign hasn't really been memorable. There's not really a lot of memorable things that Bianca Belair has done in her recent title reign. And I feel like there needed to be a change. And not only that, Bianca Belair, there needs to be a change in Bianca Belair's character. Now, I know that Bianca Belair is very, very, very marketable. And that's, if you look at it from the business sense, it makes total sense. Bianca Belair is very, very, very marketable as a babyface. But I feel like the best decision for WWE for Bianca Belair is for them to turn Bianca Belair heel, because them turning Bianca Belair heel gives a whole new meaning of life for Bianca Belair, and it can literally take her to new heights that she hasn't even been before. Let's be honest with ourselves. Now, there has been a lot of reports on eventually, Bianca Belair and the Street Profits potentially turning heel, and Montez Ford and Bianca Belair kind of like forming together as like a group, which honestly I wouldn't be against, but we're going to have to wait and see what they do. But honestly, a heel Bianca Belair, sign me the hell up, because I feel like the babyface Bianca Belair has run its course, and it's run its course for a while now. And with Asuka winning the Raw Women's Championship, it's definitely the right decision to make. Now, the biggest problem that we have right now, and I didn't even mention this on this review, but I constantly mention it on the Raw and SmackDown review, is that the title situation. We got Rhea Ripley, who is the SmackDown Women's Champion, on the Raw brand, and Asuka, who is, I believe, affiliated with the SmackDown brand, still holding the Raw Women's Championship. So what are they going to be doing there? That's the very, very, very interesting question that they're going to be doing. Are they going to be doing the title swap? Because if they honestly do the title swap, it just makes absolutely no sense. Now, to an extent, I would understand why WWE would not want to do the title swap with Bianca Belair, because if they did the title swap with Bianca Belair, it would ruin her over a year reign as the Raw Women's Champion, because she did not hold the SmackDown Women's Championship for over a year. It was the Raw Women's Championship. I totally understand that. But at the same time, the idea of a title swap, I never liked, because it devalues the championships, and they just treat the championships like absolute toys. Hopefully WWE can come up with a very, very, very logical way to flip-flop the championships instead of doing an exchange of the titles, because you would never see that in a real sport. I want this to be treated like a legit sporting event. Even though I know this is a scripted show, it's still kind of stupid to have your champions swap championships. It is so dumb. I never liked that idea, but hopefully WWE can come up with a creative way to swap the titles. But Asuka winning the Raw Women's Championship was definitely the right decision to make. After that, we got Rhea Ripley versus Natalya for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This match was not even a match. This was an absolute squash match. WWE themselves knew that this match makes no sense creatively. It really does. Natalya challenging Rhea Ripley for the SmackDown Women's Championship makes absolutely no sense. Is that really the best you got for Rhea Ripley? So far, I feel like Rhea Ripley's title run as the SmackDown Women's Championship is off on the wrong foot. It really is. And it sucks because I feel like Rhea Ripley is doing the best work of her career right now. Even though her title reign is still stale, the chemistry that she has with not only Dominic but the rest of Judgment Day is fantastic. She's doing the best work of her career. But Natalya, that's the best you got for Rhea Ripley? I don't know, man. And I remember, when they announced this match, everybody was like, what kind of match is that? And with all due respect, and this is nothing personal against Natalya, all my opinions on this show, all my wrestling opinions are solely creatively opinions. Like they are based on the creative realm of WWE. That's all I think. It's nothing personal. Nothing personal against Natalya, but Natalya is just irrelevant in 2023. She just is, and that's just the absolute truth. Nobody was excited about this match, and WWE possibly knew that and literally just had Rhea Ripley squash Natalya and retains the SmackDown Women's Championship. So really, I shouldn't really, recap this match because you already know what happened. This whole match was a squash match. We get a backstage interview with Seth Rollins. He talks about how he will be on Raw every single week moving forward. And, he has the World Heavyweight Championship things on his mind. And because he is the visionary, the revolutionary, and finally the World Heavyweight Champion, Seth freaking Rollins. So what is Seth Rollins going to be doing with the World Heavyweight Championship? Very interesting. Again, the feuds that Seth Rollins could enter are going to be, very, very, very interesting since Roman is now on SmackDown. What are they going to be doing with Seth Rollins? It's something actually that we all need to keep an eye on. After that, we got Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. Overall, thoughts on this match. You guys know my stance on this feud. The feud was not really the best feud in my opinion. I wasn't really too invested in this feud to begin with, and I stand by that statement, and it looks like they are going to be going for a third match with the outcome of this second match. That said, I do think the second match was much better than the match that they had at Backlash. I genuinely believe that. And honestly, the finish, in my eyes, I kind of get, but at the same time, I kind of don't get. Cody Rhodes passing out of a Kimura lock, I don't know about that. It could have been better if it was like a guillotine or something like that, but a Kimura lock, I don't know about that, man. That kind of makes no sense because doesn't a Kimura lock, affect your arm, so it really doesn't make you pass out. But a guillotine does make you pass out, so it would have been much more. It would have made more sense that Brock could have used a guillotine instead of a Kimura. Now, I'm not an MMA specialist, but that is just my opinion. But I get why they did the finish to an extent, is because they do not want Cody Rhodes to suffer a loss. Maybe. I mean, basically the story that they're trying to tell is Cody Rhodes is basically facing all of this, bullshit after the loss with Roman Reigns. And the rumor right now is apparently they are setting up for Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, not at SummerSlam, but at WrestleMania 40, which I think is way, way, way too long. In this day and age, I think fans, I may be totally wrong. And look, the fans are still all over Cody. So everything that I'm saying right now might be total bullshit in a year. Might be total bullshit, and I will literally come on this show and I'll admit I'm wrong. But having the fans cheer over Cody Rhodes for well over a year, I honestly don't know about that, man. To be quite honest with you, I do not know if that's the right decision to make. I think the right decision for Cody to wrestle Roman is at SummerSlam at this point. WWE wouldn't really go into all these problems if they had Cody Rhodes, if they had Cody Rhodes win at WrestleMania, they wouldn't run into these problems. But it looks like they're doing the whole adversity thing with Cody Rhodes, and I think they're taking it to a little bit too extreme. They're booking Cody Rhodes like Superman, a lot of people are saying, and honestly, I tend to agree with them. They are booking them like Superman, but honestly, if the fans are still cheering Cody Rhodes, then I'm fine with it. But if the fans are starting to revolt against Cody Rhodes for the booking of Cody Rhodes, acting like and treating like Superman, then you know you got a problem on our hands. But so far, WWE hasn't run into that problem, so really, we can't really assume that. But the match itself was much better than their Backlash match. Cody, of course, is fighting with one arm. He's not really injured. He's only selling the injury. This is not real. Cody Rhodes is fighting with one arm. Brock chases Cody on the outside. Brock ends up going, he drives Cody into the corner. He ends up hitting a belly-to-belly suplex on Cody. And at this point, with the belly-to-belly suplex, Cody lands on his injured arm. Brock then drives Cody once again into the corner. And then he ends up hitting a belly-to-belly suplex on Cody, landing once again on his injured arm. Cody fights back with his left hand using the cast that he has. And yes, the cast was used as a legit weapon. We get a couple of right hands by Cody. After that, Cody takes Brock onto the outside. Cody ends up going for a suicide dive. Cody's on the announce table. He ends up going for the double sledge. He takes Brock back into the ring, but then Cody goes to the top, but then Cody ends up hitting the double sledge again using his cast. Again, he's using his cast as a weapon. We get a disaster kick by Cody, and then he hits the Cody cutter. We then get a cover by Cody and a near fall, but then Cody takes Brock for the crossroads. He then goes for a second crossroads, and then he tries to go for a third, but then Brock counters and applies the Kimura lock. Cody transitions, but Brock still has it applied, and when Brock had it applied, he had it applied for a while. Cody escapes, and then Brock picks up Cody. Cody escapes once again, and he hits the crossroads, and we get a cover and a 1 count. Cody ends up going for left shots using his cast, but then Brock picks him up, and he hits the F5. And when I talk about this is a crazy-ass F5, this was a crazy-ass F5. So he hits the F5. We get a cover by Brock into near fall. Brock applies the Kimura lock on Cody, and he has it on for a lengthy, and I mean a lengthy amount of time. It looks like Cody's about to, come back from it, but he doesn't. So he applies the Kimura lock, and the referee ends up stopping the match, and he still has it applied, and Brock stands tall and wins the match against Cody Rhodes. Okay. The finish itself, honestly, to be quite honest with you, I'm not really too keen on the finish of this match, but I will say the match was very good. I enjoyed the match for what it was, and it looks like we are going to be leading towards a third match with Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes, because we all know Cody Rhodes is eventually going to win this feud against Brock Lesnar. I think it's pretty much safe to say that he's going to win this feud. It'd be really dumb for WWE for Cody Rhodes not to win this feud against Brock Lesnar. But I don't know, man. The finish itself was kind of weird and off to me. I mean, this whole feud makes no sense. I mean, the biggest problem that I have with this feud is that there's no rhyme or reason as to why Brock Lesnar attacked Cody Rhodes. Now, the reason that WWE and I believe Wade Barrett gave us a couple of months ago was, Brock, opened up WrestleMania Night 2 and he didn't main event the show. And I'm like, there were times before that Brock Lesnar opened up WrestleMania and he didn't have a problem with it. So if you look at it from a creative and a character standpoint, it makes no fucking sense. But that was the alleged reason that they gave us, which was very stupid in my opinion. This match, or this feud, would have been so much better if the World Championship was on the line, because then it gives Brock Lesnar a reason to attack Cody Rhodes all these whole weeks that we've been getting throughout these past couple of weeks on Raw. So the fact that the world title wasn't on the line, makes no sense. And also, Cody Rhodes should have won at WrestleMania. I still stand by that statement, in my opinion, but that is just me. But nonetheless, this match was great. It was better than their Backlash match, because their Backlash match didn't even last long whatsoever. Brock ended up getting color, and Cody Rhodes ended up stealing the victory, so you knew this match was going to be continuing, or the feud was going to be continuing regardless. But this match, I mean, we're going to be getting a third match, so honestly, there's not really that much to say, and Cody Rhodes is going to come out on top and win this whole feud at the end of the day. So yeah, those are my thoughts on this whole match. We then get the main event. Yes, the main event, the creme de la creme, the match that everybody has been very, very, very much excited about. And that, of course, is Roman Reigns teaming up with Solo Sikoa to take on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. Before I get on with the main event, I just want you guys to make sure that you guys make sure like and subscribe to the WrestleHavoc Podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the frickin' referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, the WrestleHavoc Podcast is also available on audio platforms. It is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. So if you guys want to listen to the WrestleHavoc Podcast in audio format, it is available on all of those platforms. Also, if you guys haven't checked out the WWE SmackDown review, it is up on the channel. The link will be in the description below. We talk about the tension continuing to escalate between Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso, and the tension definitely continued in this main event that I'm about to talk to you guys about. But if you guys haven't checked out the SmackDown review, it's the go-home show before Night of Champions. The link will be in the description below. Also, if you guys haven't checked out the AEW Dynamite review, the link will be in the description below as well. We talk about the premier location for AEW Collision being announced for Chicago, Illinois, and the United Center. And it looks like CM Punk's return to AEW is going to be a done deal. So I talk about that and much more. Of course, it is the go-home show for tomorrow night's Double or Nothing pay-per-view. Both the SmackDown and Dynamite reviews will be in the link in the description below. And if you guys are curious, yes, I'm going to be covering Double or Nothing. Of course, Double or Nothing is going to be tomorrow, taking place from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. And of course, that show is going to be headlined by MJF defending his AEW World Championship against the rest of the pillars, that being Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, and Jungle Boy Jack Perry. It's going to be a great show. We also got the Anarchy in the Arena match between the Elite and the Blackpool Combat Club. So if you guys are excited about Double or Nothing, hopefully you guys can check out the AEW Dynamite review. Hopefully I can get that uploaded by tomorrow night after the show, or Monday morning or Monday afternoon. Definitely, hopefully, I guarantee you guys I'm going to be giving you guys a AEW Double or Nothing 2023 review. All right, let's get on with the main event. Of course, we got Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa wrestling Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. Overall, this match was fan-frickin-tastic. That's all I got to say. This match was great. Just fantastic storytelling. You know, every time when the Bloodline is on television, you know, the Bloodline, let's be honest, the Bloodline is the best thing, and not only WWE, it's the best thing in all of wrestling, period. It just is. You know, the intensity, the emotion, you know, and I talked about this on a SmackDown review. I believe it was last week's SmackDown review, but the beauty of the whole Bloodline storyline, primarily with Roman Reigns, is the fact that he manages to get guys over on a constant basis. This whole storyline, he got guys like Jay over. He got guys like Sami over when he was a part of the Bloodline with the whole honorary Uso shit. And now he got a guy like Jimmy over because Jimmy was the one that turned his back on Roman Reigns. He was the one that super kicked Roman Reigns. And now everybody is now going to be cheering Jay for the rest of these couple of weeks as we lead towards maybe Money in the Bank, and we lead towards wherever they're going to be doing. But shit's going to get very interesting, man. Roman Reigns has the ability to get other guys over, and that is the beauty of this whole story. That's just the beauty of this whole story. And this match itself was no different. So Paul Heyman, of course, does the introductions for Roman Reigns. And Sami, it looks like the ring announcer was going to, introduce Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, but instead, Sami gets the mic and goes for his own introductions. And the cool thing about this is, and I did mention this at the top of this review, the crowd was all over, and I mean this wholeheartedly, the crowd was all over Sami Zayn in Saudi Arabia, because this is Sami Zayn's first Saudi show, because of course he is of Syrian descent, and at the time they weren't allowed in Saudi Arabia, and he didn't go. And now he's in Saudi Arabia, and Sami Zayn is just super over, man. You know, usually we all talk about crowds not being good in Saudi Arabia, but throughout the past couple of Saudi Arabia shows, the crowd has been, very energetic, especially for a guy like Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn, he's super over, along with Kevin Owens. He speaks his language, he speaks in Arabic, and basically does the introductions of him and Kevin Owens. And then the match starts. The crowd, once again, is all over Sami Zayn. Roman and Kevin Owens begin the match We get a bunch of ole, 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 ole chants by the crowd in Saudi Arabia, very similar to the crowd in Montreal. So it looks like Roman Reigns is entering hostile territory. Kevin Owens then tags in Sami Zayn. Sami and Roman start, so you know shit's going to get real. The crowd is all over Sami Zayn once again. Roman gets so pissed that he tags in Solo Sikoa. Solo and Sami lock up. Sami ends up going for repeated chops on Solo Sikoa, but then Solo regains control and fights off Sami Zayn. Solo then sends Sami into the corner, and then Solo runs into a back elbow by Sami, but then Sami goes for an elbow onto the second rope. After that, we get a bunch of right hands by Sami, but then Sami runs into a back elbow by Solo Sikoa. Kevin Owens then tags in, but then KO and Solo fight it out. KO runs into a right hand by Solo, and then we get a headbutt into the corner by Solo. Then we get a kick by Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is in the corner of the heels, and after that, KO fights back on Solo Sikoa. At that point, Sami Zayn ends up going for the blind tag. Then we get a drop toe hold by Sami, followed by a running senton by Kevin Owens. So great double team by both Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Reigns, then from behind, takes out Kevin Owens. Sami Zayn then turns around, and Solo manages to hit the clothesline. Roman then attacks Sami without the referee looking. Solo then ends up going for a slam on Sami Zayn, but then Solo goes for a dropping headbutt on Sami Zayn. Solo continues to work on Sami, but then we get a headbutt by Solo. After that, Roman tags in, and he is the legal man. Roman goes for a couple of right hands on Sami Zayn, but then Roman ends up hitting the suplex on Sami. After that, we get a cover by Roman and a near fall. Roman argues with the referee, which is a common occurrence throughout the entirety of this whole match. We get a slap by Sami, and then we get a right hand by Roman taking Sami down. Roman then screams at Sami, what do you think? You're the nature boy, which is hilarious. Sami then gets taken to the outside. Solo then on the outside attacks Sami, but then KO comes in for the save. Roman then takes Sami back into the ring, but then Roman continues to be in control over Sami Zayn. Sami then fights back. He then gets dropped again by Roman Reigns. At this point, Solo Sikoa tags in. After that, we get a double team attempt by Roman and Solo. Sami then tries to tag in Kevin Owens, but then Solo drags Sami back. Solo ends up hitting the Samoan drop, but then Solo continues to work on Sami Zayn. Sami then fights back with a couple of body shots. Sami then gets taken to the outside, but then Roman hits a right hand, but then Sami fights back on Roman Reigns. Solo then gets sent to the announce table, but then Sami comes back into the ring trying to tag in Kevin Owens. But then Solo comes in and continues to punish Sami Zayn. Solo ends up going for a thrust kick on Kevin Owens, taking him to the outside. At this point, Sami Zayn is on the top, and then Sami fights off Solo Sikoa. We then get a tornado DDT by Sami. At this point, the hot tag is made, or one of the first of two hot tags is made. After that, Kevin Owens fights off Roman, and then we get repeated stomps by Kevin Owens, and then we get a clothesline on Roman onto the outside, followed by a running senton. After that, we get a super kick by Kevin Owens on Roman Reigns. Kevin Owens sets up the cannonball, but then Solo goes for the distraction. He then takes out Solo, but then Roman Reigns is in control over Kevin Owens. Roman misses the Superman punch, but then Kevin Owens counters with the pump-up powerbomb. After that, we get a cover and a near fall. Kevin Owens goes to the top, and then he hits the frog splash. We then get a cover and a near fall, and then we get a kick by Kevin Owens, but then Solo comes in. Roman ends up hitting the Superman punch. We then get a cover by Roman and a near fall. Roman runs into a stunner by Kevin Owens, but then Roman comes back with a spear on Kevin Owens, which was a pretty badass spot in my opinion. Sami and Solo go for the hot tag. Both exchange shots, but then Sami clotheslines Solo onto the outside. Sami ends up hitting the somersault on the outside. Sami takes Solo back into the ring. He ends up hitting the Blue Thunder Bomb, and every time when Sami hits the Blue Thunder Bomb, man, I fucking pop. It's a badass move. We get a cover into near fall. At this point, Sami is in the corner. After that, he runs into a super kick by Solo, and then he tries to hit the Samoan spike, but then Sami counters. Sami ends up hitting the Exploder suplex. After that, Sami is in the corner, and he hits the Haluva kick. And when Sami hits the Haluva kick, shit's over. We get a cover by Sami, but then Roman makes the save. Roman ends up hitting repeated right hands. Roman at this point is very frustrated. He picks up Sami, and he tries to spear Sami, but by accident, he spears the referee. Sami then tries to hit the Superman punch, but then Sami tries to hit the spear, but then runs onto a Superman punch by Roman Reigns. And then after that, KO attacks Roman Reigns, and then he sends Roman onto the steel steps. At this point, Kevin Owens exposes the announce table, and he actually exposes both announce tables, and it looks like he's going to drive Roman through the announce table. But what happens is Jimmy and Jay come in and attack Kevin Owens and basically lay him out, even though Roman specifically told Jimmy and Jay not to show up on this show. What happens is they come in, they attack Kevin Owens, they hit the double super kick, and then they dump the announce table on Kevin Owens. They then enter the ring. We get a super kick on Sami by Jimmy, or one of the twins, and then we get a second super kick on Sami by Jay. After that, they go for the double super kick on Sami, but what happens is Sami ends up ducking, and what happens is by accident, they end up hitting Solo Sikoa. So after that, after they accidentally hit Solo Sikoa, Roman Reigns is finally getting up, and Roman Reigns sees what just transpired, and he has this shocked and pissed off look in his face. So Roman gets up, and he gets in the face of the Usos. He shoves the face of Jimmy Uso, which is a common occurrence throughout these past couple of weeks on WWE television. After that, Jay tries to calm Roman Reigns down. He shoves the face of Jey Uso. And Roman is just screaming at Jay, there is no day one. There's no more day one. He continues to shove into the face of Jay. And what happens is, out of nowhere, Jimmy super kicks the shit out of Roman Reigns with a huge pop. You know, one thing that this whole storyline is known for is the pops that they get for crazy ass moments. And this was one of them. Jimmy super kicks Roman. Jimmy has this just shocked look on his face. Jay is pissed. Very similar to what happened when Sami Zayn hit the chair on Roman Reigns back at the Royal Rumble in January. Jimmy has this look on his face. Jay is pissed, but that at the same time he's afraid. Jimmy then turns to Jay and says, I'm doing what you should have done months ago. And he super kicked Roman once again. And as soon as he super kicks Roman, right at the same time where he super kicks Roman once again, Michael Cole on commentary was, oh my God. Right there. You knew Jimmy was fucking... Bro, you know, people are talking about how Jimmy is fucking around and finding out, but Roman is really in the position of fucking around and finding out, and this is exactly what we got. So he super kicks Roman again. Roman is on the outside, but what happens is Solo is the only one in the ring. He finally gets up after that accidental super kick by the Usos. He's in the ring. Kevin Owens is right from behind him. He ends up hitting the stunner. Sami comes in. Haluva kick by Sami Zayn. We get a cover. 1, 2, 3. Sami Zayn pins Solo Sikoa. And Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn retain the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. Overall, man, I said the same thing, you know, back at the Royal Rumble in January. This storyline is taking a whole new turn, and it's taking it to the next level. After, you know, Sami Zayn, and after, you know, Cody Rhodes, in which there was a split debate. You know, some people were saying Roman Reigns should have lost at WrestleMania, and Roman Reigns should have won at WrestleMania. It was a split, you know, crew. I will say this. WWE is going to go forward, regardless if Roman Reigns had the titles or not, with the story that they were telling with the downfall of the Bloodline. And right now with Night of Champions, everything is escalating to the next level. Now, the possibilities are endless when it comes to who Roman Reigns is going to be wrestling now. Shit is getting very, very, very interesting. This ending was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. This was top tier perfection. You know, we all thought Jey Uso was the catalyst of this whole thing, and he still is the catalyst of this whole thing. But if you think about it, we all thought Jey Uso was going to be, you know, we all thought the Bloodline was going to turn on Jey Uso, but instead the roles are different, and now we have Jimmy who snapped, because if you think about it, Jey was always the guy that fell in line with the Bloodline. Jimmy was kind of the chill dude throughout the entirety of the Bloodline, and Jey is the one now telling Jimmy, bro, don't do this. Now Jimmy is the one that super kicked Roman. Jey is the catalyst, but Jimmy escalated this whole thing. And you know what? It's absolutely great to see. Not only that, Roman is now in the position of, because he's now in the position of, holy shit, I fucked up. Because really, the downfall of the Bloodline, as Sami Zayn stated on SmackDown, is his fault. Is his fault. It's all because of the ego of Roman Reigns, and now Jimmy Uso is tired of it. And he's basically showing Jay, hey, everything that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn told us is absolutely true. Sami Zayn, even when he was rolling with us, was right the whole time. And when Sami Zayn was rolling with them, Kevin Owens was right the whole time. And now everything is transpiring as we see it right now. So where do we lead to right now? Do we lead to a one-on-one match between Jimmy Uso and Roman Reigns? Maybe. I mean, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. Or could we have a scenario in which we end up having Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns maybe at SummerSlam? If WWE is not going to go full-fledged with Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, which honestly I still think they should do, the catalyst of the whole story is Jey Uso. They could easily do Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso, you know, at the pay-per-view. This would be their third match, because they had a match at Night of Champions 2 years ago, and then they had it was 3 years ago. They had a match at Night of Champions and then at Hell in a Cell, which was the I Quit match. So a lot of possibilities here. But another possibility is, what role does Solo Sikoa play in? Because, of course, Solo Sikoa is the younger brother of Jimmy and Jey Uso. So what role does he play in? Could this be a scenario in which he could be the guy to dethrone Roman Reigns? I have absolutely no idea, but that is the beauty of this whole storyline. The beauty of this whole storyline is that it gives you the unpredictability nature. And that is what you want in a wrestling show. You want top-tier stories, which the Bloodline is a top-tier story, and you want the emotional investment with the viewer watching the show, and that is what you are getting with this. Each individual character is important, and that is the biggest takeaway from the storyline is each individual wrestler. Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa, Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Paul Heyman of all people. Every one of them serves a purpose, and that is the biggest takeaway I can give you guys for this whole story. This is only going to get better, and I absolutely love everything that WWE did with the ending of this pay-per-view. Shit's going to get very, very, very interesting this coming Friday on SmackDown when we have the 1,000-day celebration of Roman Reigns, and he's going to bring in the whole bloodline in this segment. Shit's going to get very real, and I'm 100% here for it. WWE has me fully invested in this story. But yeah, that was my Night of Champions 2023 review. We definitely talked a lot about a lot of things on this show, and honestly, this was a great show, regardless. This was a fantastic show. The only dud was really the Rhea Ripley match, and to an extent, the Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar match, but everything else, you know, even if there was a bad thing that happened on the show, everybody's going to be talking about that amazing ending that transpired with Jimmy Uso and Roman Reigns. And honestly, you know, nonetheless, man, this show was definitely a 100% home run by WWE. And, you know, the programs that they're going to be having as we head towards the summer and as we head towards Money in the Bank at the O2 Arena in London and as we head towards SummerSlam, shit's going to get real. And I'm 100% excited and I'm 100% here for it. So, yeah, that was my Night of Champions 2023 review. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Push that bell for notifications and be on the lookout for more videos right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And, as the freaking referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. And as always, it is Flamin' Ricky DeRays, signing out. I'll see you guys tomorrow or hopefully on Monday for the Double or Nothing review. Peace.